Welcome all to the discussions on international relations. So far we have covered Unit 1 where we have discussed all kind of approaches to the study of international relations, and as we have been moving, I'll now be taking up Unit 2 where we'll be discussing the concepts. So for today's discussion on lecture, I have taken up concept of state system or nation state system. So we'll today discuss it. Let's start. So I am taking up things which are there in the NTA NET syllabus for political science, international relations. So today we will be taking up state, nation state system. So let's start with the introduction of it. As you all know that international politics since 450 years had been viewed as politics among nations. If you go through the definitions of Morgenthau, as he said that international politics, like all other politics, is a struggle for power among nations. So here also, there is nothing different. This is the traditional view, and states pursue power for protecting their varied interests, like national interests, defined in terms of national power. So what happens in nation-state system is that nation-state is the basic unit of international systems. Nation-states are the key actor or key unit of action in international politics with a purpose, that is national interest, defined in terms of national power. So the agents here are the diplomats and the soldiers that are being appointed, deployed by nations, and the interactions among the policies of government of nation states have been the element of international relations, which the decision makers or we as a student of political science try to understand and try to control. So as such, international politics has been basically the system of interaction among nation states. Throughout most of what is called modern history, the nation state system has been dominant pattern of international political organization in the Western world, and more recently it has spread to the other part of the world as well. This is what Palmer Perkins write. That system which had been till now part of the Western world is now spreading among all over the world. So one important thing here to be noted is that how the nation state system emerged. So very important thing is that the nation state system in the national politics started taking shape around the year 1648 when the 30-year war in Europe was brought to an end by the Treaty of Westphalia. This is a very important marker, and this treaty paved the way for the development. Why? It is because it recognized that Roman Empire could no longer command the allegiance of the states, and Pope had no right to interfere in the affairs of the states in the name of the religion, that it is the highest spiritual authority, Pope being the highest spiritual authority, so it has right to interfere in the matters of the state. So this position or dignity of the Pope has lost. Roman Empire has lost its command over the states. And what happened now? The state become sovereign states for securing their respective national interest by the use of their power. Even the use of power of the states for dominating the other states came to be recognized as their right in the era of imperialism of European states over other states of the world. So their supremacy was both temporal and secular. So what is happening now that the states are sovereign, so sovereignty got recognized as being the supreme, and a state, as I have already said, that they started interacting as sovereign and independent in strength, and they are free and they are sovereign to secure their national interest with their use of power. What happens is that in the 17th, 18th and the 19th century, the rise of nationalism as the principle of nation state got a worldwide acceptance, and the rise of the first modern nation state in England, in which nationalism become co-equal with the idea of individual liberties and popular participation in public affairs that can be seen. So England was the first where the modern nation state system emerged. If you see the American Revolution and the French Revolution, they also gave a strength to the concept of nation state, fortified with the spirit and the philosophy of nationalism. Nationalism is very important. I'll be discussing it later. So here you can you see Napoleon Bonaparte. He, however, transformed the nationalist sentiment into an expansionist ideology and used his citizens' armies to score victory after victory in Europe and Middle East. So what happened then? Ultimately, he was defeated by the forces of nationalism that he had helped overcome. So it was a very important remark. You must note it here. Nationalism, as I said, is one of the most important concepts that we are discussing in nation-state system. So nationalism, if you see the unification of Germany, that gave further strength to the concept of nationalism, and it became the hallmark of the state. The philosophical foundations of the nation states received tremendous strength from the Hegel's ideas. He was a German philosopher, so his ideas boosted uh, the feelings or the concept of nationalism. So, if you see the modernization of Japan, that also gave intense strength to the development of nationalism. So, the march of the 18th and the 19th century, especially the industrial revolution of 19th century, it invigorated the consolidation of the nation state as the fundamental unit of protection. So the nation system, it got firmly entrenched when humankind entered into the 20th century. So let's take up the characteristics of a nation-state system. The nation-state system is governed by four major features, and they are: one, the population; two, territory; three, government; and fourth is sovereignty. This is the features of a state, or you can say a nation-state system. When you talk of international system or international politics, these are recognized in the form of nationalism, territorial integrity, sovereignty, and legal equality. So let's discuss these four basic credentials in detail. So the concept of nationalism is very important, as I have been saying. The nation state was considered fortified with the philosophy of nationalism, and in fact, the rise of nation state was accompanied by the rise of nationalism, which in turn strengthened the nation state. So, nationalism grew steadily to encompass an identification of the individual with the state. What happens in the feeling of nationalism? Individual identify too much himself with the state. The political socialization process of the individual inculcated the value that every person was a citizen of the state by birth. Since all citizens are deriving all kinds of rights and benefits from the state, so it is expected in turn from citizens to obey the commands of the state. The resulting faith or love that an individual possesses in the state gives a strong rise to nationalism, and this is the very important aspect that connects people across all over the country, be it fighting for a cause, like as we have seen that our independence revolt, the feeling of nationalism has been the binding factor. So it happens with any nationality or any nation. The love and the faith for nation provides the feeling or enhance the feeling of nationalism, which is very important. Second is sovereignty. Sovereignty again is very important. It came to be regarded as the hallmark of the nation state system. The concept of sovereignty implied internal and external sovereignty. So what it means? It means that internally a state had right to order the behavior of all its citizens and their association in all respects. Now externally it means that sovereignty implied the right of the state to act out its desired role in international relations on the basis of desired policies. What does that mean? That a nation is free externally to decide its policies and to govern its policies by whatsoever means. The means should be right, by acquiring a rightful means. That must not be an arbitrary use of violence or anything. So that is the other thing. We are not going into that discussion. The third is legal equality. So nation states of the world came to be recognized as sovereign equal states irrespective of their sizes, population, military capabilities, economic resources, etc. This means that international law recognized all states as equal with equal legal status and rights. The next and the last one is the territorial integrity, or you can say territorial impermeability. What does that mean? It means that nation state, they are conceptualized as a territorial entity, and the protection of the people living inside that territory or within the boundaries of that country became its chief responsibility. So territoriality became responsible for making the nation states. So one is defensible units, the internally pacified areas, and moreover it further strengthened the concepts of sovereignty and nationalism, as just these gave strength to it. So it's a vice versa. So we have now come to the multiple choice questions part. So as you can see, England saw the rise of first modern nation state system in which nationalism co-equals the idea of individual liberties and popular participation in public affairs, as you can see there in the American Revolution, the French Revolution, as I have been talking about, and the unification of Germany. So next is the uh, Treaty of Westphalia. So it was very important, the year of 1648, because it ended the 30-year war in Europe, and it was the year when Treaty of Westphalia was signed. So it also paved the way for various development, as I have already mentioned that the Roman Empire lost its allegiance and supports from the states, and Pope could no longer interfere in the affairs of the state. So the development started taking place, and that is why it is of significance. Since this nation state system has also undergone a big change, so it is regarded that is there any relevance of, there have been debate about the relevance of the nation state system, or it is still alive or dying. The debates of these kinds are there. So the nation state system could not remain in operation in post war international relations, and this might be the reason that the Boulding and Hertz have come to the conclusion that nuclear aid has rendered the nation state and the concept of sovereignty quite obsolete. This can be a one possible reason. So the fourth one is the Palmer and Perkins, that the nation state system has been dominant pattern of international political organization in the Western world. But more recently it has spread to the other part of the world as well. So the nation states have been the key actors or agents or basic unit of actions at international fora, though in recent times they have undergone a big change. So as I have been discussing the four major elements of nation state system. So the four major elements of nation state system are population, territory, government and sovereignty. And in international relations, its four basic credentials are recognized as nationalism, territorial integrity, sovereignty and legal equality.